I think there are similarities in many ways. They come from quite similar working class backgrounds and have now done pretty well for themselves. I think they're both fairly cautious, fairly centrist, but cautious personalities in how they operate. I think they're both, in the context of an internet age, considered to be quite bland, although I think both of them are interesting in their own ways. And they're both very deeply values-led individuals, but I think the differences are there as well. Joe Biden is a lot older, a lot more experienced in many ways. Keir Starmer is much newer to politics. The contexts for Joe Biden's election in 2020 and the next general election in 2024 will have some similarities too. You know, both countries have been through quite big traumas from a democratic point of view and from an economic point of view. To Joe Biden's election in 2020, people just wanted some calm. People wanted politics to be at least relatively normal again. But they also wanted the safety and security that you get from knowing that there will be some stability in government. And I think the COVID years, the Partygate years, Liz Truss in many ways is quite radical in her economic outlook, in her determination to cut taxes and to not do the kinds of cost of living measures that many people want her to. I think looking at how the Biden campaign went into the 2020 election would be smart, rather than looking at what Biden has done since he got into office. There is a special relationship between American politics and British politics. The Democrats and the Labour Party are sister parties. It's not a completely direct read across. Famously, Jim Messina worked for the Conservative Party in the 2015 election, but I think he's a bit of an aberration. Most Democrats would be quite enthusiastic about a Labour Party victory in the same way that Labour politicians are almost always cheering on the Democrats or somebody to the left of the Democrats. Frankly, though, I think that in the UK, our politicians would do well to learn as much from Anthony Albanese in Australia, Olaf Scholz and the SPD in Germany, Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand. Smaller economies, Westminster style or similar to Westminster style political democracies. Campaigns are much, much smaller. I worked in the 2012 campaign. The digital team that I was a member of was 300 people. I think Keir Starmer's team probably wants people to be able to picture him on the world stage, picture him doing the kind of work that he would do as Prime Minister. Also to see that there are these trends in international politics where the centre-left is on its way back in many ways. I'd put it down to three reasons. Firstly, Joe Biden may be seen as quite a staid centrist, but he is a believer in government. He believes in the power of government and always has. I mean, he's been in the Senate since he was 28 years old. And so he is comfortable thinking about how to use the levers of government, tax, spend, executive power to do good. Secondly, he has been really, really comfortable in a way I don't think a lot of people expected to bring in ideas from across the party. A lot of the ideas on tax were from Elizabeth Warren's campaigning work over many, many years, including her presidential campaign. And then thirdly, I think it is the moment. People's expectations are really dramatically different. People are quite cautious and desperate for security and stability in the face of economic and democratic turmoil. But in order to get that stability and security, they're willing for government to do quite big, bold things that maybe a few years ago would have looked outlandish or too far to the left. Joe Biden has had a real tough go of it over the last 12 months or so, but has really turned a corner in the sense that they've just passed a huge piece of legislation through the Senate, the Inflation Reduction Act, that caps medicine costs, that invests hugely in green jobs. And those kinds of big pieces of legislation, big pieces of spending are in many ways quite similar to the kinds of things that Rachel Reeves, Keir Starmer, and the Liberal Democrats, Greens and others have been bringing forward £28 billion a year on a just transition by investing in green jobs, and now the energy price freeze. I think there's still a bit of a barrier between the things that the Labour Party is saying it would do on paper and how people feel. The connection between the electorate and Keir Starmer doesn't seem to be there from what we're seeing so far. And that's just not a problem that Joe Biden had. Joe Biden's a very known character. That's a challenge for the Labour Party. The Labour Party's been out of office for 12 years. Keir Starmer's only been in Parliament for 6 years, I think, 7 maybe. And the Labour Party has obviously been through it's veered across the road over the last 10, 15 years, ideologically, shall we say. I certainly think that Keir Starmer will be the Labour Party's candidate for Prime Minister at the next election. I'm not sure that Joe Biden will be the Democrats' candidate. He is quite old. He was 79 when he was elected, the oldest first-term president in the modern era. He says he's going to run again, and he certainly seems energetic. If he runs, I think he's got a tremendous shout of winning re-election. I think the big unknown in all of this is, number one, will Donald Trump be on the ballot, or will he be in jail? And number two, will Liz Truss settle into her role as Prime Minister, or will we continue to face the kind of turbulence and mess and confusion that we've seen from the government over the last few years?